But understanding the problem, getting it set up properly in the first place, what marketers could be doing, what recruiters should be doing, and then we'll go through a Q&A if anybody wants to, or if not, we'll move on. So the overall problem, automations have absolutely spanned everything. I think everybody's getting automated. I can guarantee that half of the room in the last 15 minutes would have had some sort of email or message coming through to say, oh, thanks for buying something on Etsy or Shein or whatever or Team. My mum is all over Timo at the minute. But you know, there's always these kind of like follow-ups all the time, and there's so much automation sometimes. And sometimes the thing is that when it's overly automated, you lose that kind of human interaction side of things. And the key thing that we've discovered, or it's rediscovered, it's pretty obvious, is that because you're in recruitment, people buy from people. You can have the best brand in the whole entire world, but if one of your consultants is a dickhead, they just won't work with you. Simple as that. And vice versa. You might have the nicest logo in the whole. Oh, what a great colour palette that you guys have got. I love the way that font matches with something else. But you've not got a candidate for me, so I'm not going to take them on. And so the thing is, that's the difference with marketing, and I think with some of the other things that marketers should look at is that everything has to kind of go and end in money and profits and reinvest back into the business, and so on and so on and so on. And so because of the overly automation, it's getting rid of that human side of things, and people buy from people, so we need to make sure that automation in any way, shape or form is an extra assistant as opposed to a replacing of. That's my opinion on it. So, using the laser, 70% of new business, people just send one email to a prospect, which is quite frightening. Because about 5 years ago, it was you need 11 touch points to become a client. I think that's probably closer to 20 or 30 nowadays. These things come out all the time. 92% of sales teams use at least one automation tool. So it is there, it's embedded, we've just got to use the human side of it. And then using AI and automation just to do task management stuff makes you 3 times more productive. There was somebody said this, so she runs like a really high level interim staffing agency in the US. And like her, basically what she does is she's got about 50 or 60 high level interims, and they're all on $4,000 or $5,000 a day, obviously high level margins all the time. She's minted, she's absolutely loaded. And she just said to me, she went, if I do it 3 times and it takes less than 5 minutes, a bit like what you were saying before, if I do it 3 times in less than 5 minutes, I should get somebody else to do it. And in this instance, it's AI and automation. So, has anybody got their head around Copilot yet? Or even started getting their head around Copilot with Microsoft? Yeah. It's honestly, it's a scary tool when you get some of it set up. It really, and like positively scary as well. So you just got to, a bit like what Joe was saying before, identify what your blockers are. There are tools out there, you just need to use them. And most of them are free already, or like as part of the licenses that you get. But ultimately, there's like some simple ones that we can have. But the problem is that your guys, I think what the problem is, who here is an actual billing recruiter? 1, 2, 3. Okay, I would say so. Probably like 5% of the room. I'm going to badmouth 5% in the room. The problem is generally with recruiters is they are an inherently lazy bunch of people. We can all take you on. Yeah. The problem is when it comes to recruiters, it's like it's the shortest path. There's a phrase in tech. It's like how can I get the shortest path to where I need to be? And the problem with that is if I can avoid doing something, then I'll just avoid doing it. And so that's one of the problems. But automation tools can be very expensive. So things like who here is on Vincere? Okay. Anybody with Elay? Do you use Elay or any of the automation tools? Bullhorn, and you're with? Do you use Automate?
So they use automation, Bullhorn, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a CRM.
Okay, cool. So do you use it? And do you get much out of it?
Yeah, we use it. We're marketing, so it's slightly separate, but we've got small responsibilities.
Okay. Brilliant. Very good. And then the other job out there. Does anybody use that? Roy, tool? No. So the thing is though, like the tool, obviously they're very pricey. Some of these ones, they really like add on. Every time you want a license, then it's like an extra £100 for a user that's not actually using it type thing. Can be very pricey automation tools if they're built into the CRM. There are a million tools, probably about 2 billion AI tools out there, but unfortunately not all of them integrate with your CRM. They require a lot of APIs, development and all that kind of stuff. A bit like what you said before, where do you even start with AI and automation? Where do you begin? Are emails being read nowadays? Has anybody else seen email go down the drain? Has anybody seen email go, actually no, it's great. Email's actually got better in the last 18 months. Is anybody brave enough to, no. Email's gone shit over the last 18 months. And I'm sorry to be crass about it, but it really, really has. Google and Microsoft have done everything that they can, including Apple. I don't have a Samsung, but I certainly on Apple now, when I look at my emails, it's like, these are the emails that from people that we think you want to see, and here's everybody else in like the dungeon in the corner of your inbox that you have to get to. So emails are like really tough at the minute. There's like I said before, there's too much automation, too many follow-up messages in some instances. There's no consistency of doing BD anyway. So I think I can speak for the vast majority of agencies that are out there that when, oh my God, COVID, end of world, oh my God, 2022, this is the best thing ever. And then 2023, 2024, we don't really talk about because it just didn't happen. And then here we are. So what we've gone through this like hype cycle of like, oh no, we don't need to do BD because what's the point of doing any business development when we've got loads of BD? I see that logic. And then afterwards, it's like, shit, we need to do BD. And then it's like, well, but how do we do it? What do we do? Well, I've got some candidates, let's spec them out. Great, how do you spec them out? Let's use this automation tool that can send out thousands at any one time. Let's just send it to the entire database. Great. Oh, what? We're getting blacklisted. Oh, outrageous. But anyway, no consistency. And it requires a lot of input at the beginning, and I'll go through the input at the beginning. Really, it's the pain. When you can get past the pain of the input, the strategy, the ideas, the formation of it all, it makes your life so much easier in the long run. Really, really does. So, I didn't realise it was going to be this massive, so apologies. So the idea is with any kind of automation is you've got to get it set up correctly in the first place. And so, who here actually looks after the database or manages the database and the data that goes into it? 1, 2, 3. Nerds. It's the most important job in the whole. I think it's the most important job to get your automation setups right in the first place. By far and away, is absolutely key. So who here has like sales ops managers or like as in database managers, or you can call them various different things, but people within your businesses that would do it at all? You want to? Yes. Yeah. So cool. So again, they are. They don't have to be based in this country. You are more than welcome to hire these people, and you definitely won't find them on Fiverr for an incredibly cost-effective price, or even in South Africa for an incredibly cost-effective price and speak English. But database managers are, again, going back to the point of recruiters, is because shortest path won't update the data. Not updating the data, so your marketing efforts become incredibly tough. Or even sequences, or even just speccing out candidates, or anything on there. And so getting a database manager to make sure that it's all sorted, and essentially using the Scott toilet paper and wiping the arses of recruiters makes life a lot easier for them. It's incredibly valuable. So if you get anything out of this, anything whatsoever, if you've got the budget, hire somebody that can just sit on the database and just update the database, because the rest of your efforts go really in. But it all starts with segmentation and tagging and coding. It all starts with that in the very first place. And you can tag that. So who here covers the US? So quarter or half the group cover the US. Who here is quite local in terms of like, does it regionally within the UK? Or their recruitment regionally? Yeah. Cool. And so there's loads of different ways you can tag, just depends on your business, whether it's by geography, whether it's by company size, whether it's by like the what they actually sell or the industry that they sell to. Who here is in works with startups or smaller businesses? A handful of others as well. So again, even trigger events as well. You can everyone's got access to either Crunchbase or PitchBook or things like that. Or even I think Pager kind of leans on some of their stuff as well, on some of their tools. But ultimately, you can tag and you can segment by any means necessary. But it all starts with that. And so, why should you set up and segment the database? I mean, I'm so sorry that it's you've come out of the morning and I'm here talking about databases. I can only apologise. I don't want to. I want to, like James is here taking videos and making pictures. This is the kind of stuff that we want to do, but instead of talking about databases, sorry. But why you should do it, enhanced targeting, better targeting. Like what Joe was saying before, totally echo that. You cannot and should not just absolutely smash out a candidate to thousands upon thousands of prospects. Or if you've got an event coming up, a bit like this, or a webinar coming up, whatever it may be, you're best targeting it on small groups of people, which just the volume is not there anymore. You're best going niche within a niche within a niche. So which leads on to a point of relevance, and it's just more relevant, more targeted, better customer service. Recruiters are really good, in my opinion, of the customer service side of things. They'll do anything. They'll do anything for the customer at the end of the day. They're in codes selling their own kits. They will actually do these kind of things. So if we can support them with that, happy days. Better retention. Has anybody suffered with client retention at all over the last year or so? Sorry, I'm trying to breathe in, but not much to go. Improve retention. I know it sounds cheesy, but birthdays, all that kind of stuff, it does go a long way. It doesn't have to be an automated, hi, brackets, first name, happy birthday, we really care for you. It doesn't, it can prompt you to do this kind of stuff. Again, high conversions and cost reduction. You have to do the upfront investment first onto the database to get it right. And I'm so sorry, if you go on, this database should be the hub of everything. It really should. If you're not that keen on a recruitment tool, then you'd have got HubSpot, which is free to an extent. You can go with things like Brevo and MailChimp and all these kind of big email providing tools if you did want to, because a lot of those will have that kind of in there as well. But yeah, ultimately your database should be the hub of everything, including your reporting as well. Right, so this is for the 95% of the room in terms of what marketers should be doing. Oh, press the twice. No. So you asked before in terms of where do I start with it? Okay, there are a million different journeys that you could have. A million. There's loads in terms of when somebody does this, I send them that, and then we give them this. It's too much. So I would start with these 7 or 8 or so from a sales side of things, and then just build it out from there. So every time there's a new prospect added to the database, and it goes through your database manager and it's coded up properly and it's into their segmentation, that they get an outreach sequence of some description. And it's not just an outreach, you could do it when they discover that there's a new job and it's a new hiring manager or a referral, that they're on, basically every time a new prospect gets added to the system, there is a sequence of messages that goes out there that supports them in any way. Doesn't just have to be the hiring managers, it can be HR. I mean, if anybody's old enough to have worked in recruitment, it used to be that HR were the absolute devil. They still are. Yeah. They still are. Boo! Down with HR. But they write checks, so yeah. Yeah. It doesn't just have to be the hiring managers. It can be anybody that influences them as well. Post-interview and then post-interview feedback, post-placement feedback. The best bits that things that can automate. We're working with a business down south. They've got 250,000 followers on LinkedIn, vanity, but they've got about 50 or so consultants. They do about 500 grand's worth of perm placements each month, spread over about 30 to 40 placements. So they're quite decent order values, to be fair. And what they do is every time that they make a placement, they do nothing with it. And I just went to them and go, right, so who's getting feedback? Where are you getting feedback from all of this one? Like maximising feedback, getting them onto Google, getting on like LinkedIn recommendations or getting the testimonials, of when the testimonials can then be used as business development materials, things like that. Just weren't getting anything. So, it's an easy process with any kind of automation tool. Re-engaging with lapsed clients. When I say lapsed clients, those that have given you a job and not been spoken to for 3 or 4 months. Your time's made difference, but it's a rough idea. That, you'll be surprised, we've just been, I don't know if we can say their name, TRN, Operation TRN, the other networking, there's another networking group that rhymes with TRN. And they've run something recently called Operation Goldmine with a lot of their members, and we've supported with that in terms of that. That has produced an unbelievable amount of revenue. Unbelievable amount, because all it is just going, because we are in a habit of going after new clients instead of looking after the ones that we've got. Operation Goldmine, highly just go out. Why get new business when there's business within business already? So that's that thing. Interview prep, send in proposals, client onboarding, all that kind of good stuff. So I would find a way to get those set up pretty quickly because there's a lot of revenue within that lot there. Candidates as well. I know this is mainly from the client side of things, but quite often candidates, certainly contractors and references from that, they create good leads for recruiters. So anytime there's new candidates added, again with the interview feedback and the placement feedback, but re-engaging with lapsed candidates that you've not spoken to for a while. Prep. Who here does contract? Who's contract? Yeah, vast majority of contract. Asking a recruiter to just count down when they're when contracts are coming to an end. It doesn't even have to be automated. You can even just get it so that various tools, certainly with Automate on Bullhorn, it can just remind the consultant to just do your job, basically. There's things like that in there as well. And referrals is key. I still stand by that in recruitment, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And so if you are very well connected and very well seen, if you are actively pushing referrals, that's a good way forward as well. It's very tough to do anything and everything without a huge marketing team. Sometimes I had a conversation yesterday, and it's like, we're looking at setting up in the US. Do we need a new logo? Why don't we set up a new LinkedIn page? Can we do and? I'm like, well, firstly, no, because you don't see McDonald's have a logo for their UK business and then a completely different one for the US. So no, you just be consistent. Quite often in marketing, it's like you're either using an outsourced supplier where you pay very similar to what you'd be paying for one marketer anyway. So it's very tough to go, well, everybody else is doing this. Well, unfortunately, it comes at a cost. So I feel for marketers when there's lots of expectation for you to do stuff. So what I'll do is just focus on things that are already producing results until the point of diminishing returns. Anybody know that phrase, diminishing returns? So diminishing returns is if, for example, for every in-mail that you send out, so every 10 in-mails you send out, you get one candidate coming back, and that turns into a placement, something along those lines. And in-mails are your best form of ROI. You just keep sending in-mails out. Keep sending in-mails out until it gets to a point where you're just not getting any more ROI. You've maximised your ROI, and that's the whole point of diminishing returns. Is for every £1 that you spend on, say, your database, you're getting £10 back. Keep spending pounds on your database, because every £1 you give, you get £10 back. So that's the point of diminishing returns. We are seeing this quite often, to echo what Joe said before, niche within a niche within a niche. You cannot now just go, I just want to email every CTO in the UK about my .NET engineer. It's bollocks, it just doesn't work like that. You have to be targeted, you have to be absolutely targeted. So that again goes back to having a database, friend, set them on there, niche, segment. And then what should recruiters be doing? And this is, you feel free to send this back to your teams. They should be updating the database. They should be advising you on trends. They should be giving you as much opportunity to talk about stuff and make content around this, that, and the other. You should be distributing content as another channel. again, I do it myself. Like, I could post one thing on our company page, I'd post exactly the same thing on my personal page, and my personal page just gets so much more. Not for any reason other than LinkedIn just does favour personal pages. That's just how the algorithm works. So you need to use your recruiters to be active on there. They need to distribute content, give feedback, share insights with you. They should put you in touch with their network as well, so you can get feedback, support you on campaigns, and they should absolutely be calling people. If you get recruiters that aren't calling anybody, then it's a dangerous recruiter. And then, it's all based on personal recommendations. So anything that automation and AI can set up, like those 10 or 15 that I showed before, is the way forward. And if they expect white hot leads to fall on their lap, then they absolutely need educating. You know, we have seen it. We've seen it quite a few times, to be fair, where it's like the company turns around and goes, "Yeah, we are looking. We're looking for a VP of, or we're looking for a chief of," something like that. Happy days. But that tends to happen like once a year. It doesn't happen like every time you send a message out. It does require a lot of like love and support and all that kind of stuff with it, really. And so it zoomed in a little bit, but in terms of, you can build out like very complex sequences that like have triggers, events, and go things like that. So if they do this, then that happens. If they don't do this, then that happens. Or they can just be linear, where it's just like just get the same messages over and over. Either way, but what I would suggest. So just a few messages I've had over the last week or so. Podcasts are a good foot in the door, still remain a good foot in the door. So if you've got one, or if you've not got one, you should consider it. People just coming back saying that LinkedIn messages. Who here automates off LinkedIn? Or uses like a lem list or a Dripify or anything like that? Yeah. We're seeing at the minute is that while email has gone down like that, LinkedIn has gone up like that. But LinkedIn, you're very limited by the number of messages that you can send on there anyway. But either way, better ROI from that. And that's my rant. Thank you very much. Any questions?